My heart pounded as I stepped out of my office building, my breath forming visible puffs in the frigid winter air. The day had been exhausting, but as I walked towards the parking lot, I couldn't shake the feeling that something was terribly wrong. Every nerve in my body tingled with unease, and I quickened my pace. I fumbled for my car keys, my fingers trembling in the cold. The clicking of my heels on the pavement echoed through the empty parking lot, making me feel isolated and vulnerable. I scanned the area, searching for any sign of danger, but the only thing that greeted me was the desolate landscape of parked cars, each one casting eerie shadows in the dim light. Unlocking my car, I practically threw myself inside and locked the doors. My hands shook as I inserted the key into the ignition. My reflection in the rear-view mirror showed a pale, frightened face. I tried to shake off the feeling of impending doom, attributing it to stress and fatigue. I pulled out of the parking lot, my tires crunching over the snow-covered ground. The road was deserted, and the only sound was the soft hum of my engine. My mind wandered as I navigated the dark streets. I wondered if I'd been working too hard, if the stress of my job was finally getting to me. I couldn't remember the last time I'd had a decent night's sleep. As I approached an intersection, I saw a figure standing on the corner. My heart skipped a beat as I realized that the person was me, or rather someone who looked exactly like me. It was like staring into a distorted mirror, my doppelganger's features mirroring mine with eerie precision. I slammed on the brakes, causing my car to skid to a halt. My doppelganger turned to face me, his eyes locking onto mine with a sinister intensity. His lips curled into a malevolent smile, and a cold shiver ran down my spine. I couldn't tear my gaze away from his, even though every instinct told me to flee. With a sudden burst of movement, he sprinted towards my car. Panic surged through me as I fumbled to put the car in reverse, but my doppelganger was faster. He slammed her palms against the driver's side window, his eyes boring into mine. I could see the hatred and malice in her gaze, and it chilled me to the bone. "Get out!" he hissed, his voice a sickening parody of my own. I screamed and hit the gas pedal, sending my doppelganger tumbling to the ground. I didn't look back, my heart pounding as I sped away from the nightmarish encounter. I didn't know what was happening, but I had to get as far away from that doppelganger as possible. I drove for what felt like hours, my mind racing with fear and confusion. How could there be someone who looked exactly like me, and why did he want me dead? I couldn't find any rational explanation for what I had just experienced. Eventually, I reached a remote motel on the outskirts of town. It was a rundown place, but I didn't care. I needed a safe place to hide, somewhere my doppelganger wouldn't find me. I checked into a room and locked the door behind me, my hands trembling as I did so. I sat on the edge of the bed trying to collect my thoughts. I had to figure out what was going on and how to protect myself. But the more I thought about it, the less sense it made. Why would someone want to impersonate me and kill me? What had I done to deserve this? As I pondered these questions, a sense of dread washed over me. I realized that I couldn't stay in that motel forever. Sooner or later, my doppelganger would find me. I needed help, but I didn't know who I could trust. I couldn't even trust my own reflection anymore. Exhausted and terrified, I decided to leave town. I packed a small bag and left the motel, determined to put as much distance between myself and my doppelganger as possible. I didn't know where I was going or what I would do, but I couldn't stay in that place any longer. As I drove away, I couldn't shake the feeling that I was being watched, that my doppelganger was still out there, stalking me with murderous intent. The road stretched out before me, cold and dark, and I had no choice but to keep moving, to keep running from the horrifying presence that had invaded my life.